Part of this project, what I'm going to add in is a slight effect using CSS scroll snaps. So you can see here, as soon as I touch this, this will always align to the top of the scroll, which makes it feel a bit more like a slideshow. Now, not everyone likes this effect. Not everyone likes this scroll jacking type of effect. So you may annoy some people as part of this project, but I'm going to talk about, if you do want to add it, how you would add it. So this is actually not part of JavaScript. This is actually a brand new CSS thing called CSS scroll snap. You can see here, there's a quick example of it working in progress. So I can kind of scroll up and down, and it's pretty easy to actually add to a page. Now, this is doing it in a kind of like container. So if it was almost like within the page itself, but this isn't within the page itself. It is the whole page. So how do I add it to the entire page? Well, some of the code looks like this. We'll kind of add something that looks very, very similar. So let's add that in. So quickly, I'm just going to add this in. Again, you don't need to add this in, but in my style.css, I'm going to add something towards the top of the page. Now, I need to do this if I'm doing it across the entire page. It's just something we have to deal with. I'm going to pick the HTML of the page and the body of the page and do something to it. What do I want to do? Well, the first thing I want to do is add in the scroll snap type. Which direction of the scroll snap do we want to pick? Well, for us, we're scrolling up and down the page in the Y direction. We're not scrolling across the page in the X direction. So the first thing I'm going to add in here is scroll-snap-type. And there's two things that we can put in here. The first one is the direction, X or Y. I want Y. And the next one is it mandatory or is it just based on proximity? And there's basically two we can pick. Now, I want it to be mandatory because I want it to definitely align at the top. Not if it's kind of near, but definitely. So mine is going to be mandatory scrolling. So mandatory. I always spell that wrong. So mandatory. So next, let's see this in action. So at the moment, this doesn't do anything because it needs to have a little bit more to it. So the first thing that we're going to do in here is basically give this whole page a height. So the height is going to be 100%. Now, why is that? Now, at the moment, what this will do is it will just look like normal, but it basically gives the browser some idea of where to scroll into. So what I'm going to do next is say what things I want to scroll and what I want to align to. In this, I can do it at the start or the middle or at the end of this. I'm going to use the start, which is basically, it doesn't really matter because they're both kind of aligned in the same way. So this is the start. I want it to align to the top. What do I want to align to the top? Well, the section tag. So in my section tags, I'm going to add in a scroll-snap-align. And I want it to align to the start. So let's see this in action now. If I scroll down, it kind of flicks to the next page. Now, just to add more kind of flexibility and more kind of browser reach, this doesn't work for every single browser, by the way, just to kind of throw this in there. It works for most. I think it's pretty much every single browser except Internet Explorer. And Firefox, kind of most of Firefox does work as well. So what I'm just going to add in for Safari flexibility is also another thing in the HTML and body, which is overflow-y. We want it to scroll in the Y direction. So this is just kind of adding more flexibility into our code. But what we have now is a scroll jacking effect on the page. It makes it look really nice really, really quickly. It's 4 or 5 lines of code to add this scroll snap in place. So what we've done in this project is a lot of pure JavaScript, a lot of CSS, and a lot of HTML as well. But what we're going to talk about next is we're going to go back into V5 and draw some stuff. So basically what we've done is covered quite a lot of different content. We've covered set intervals, we've covered functions, we've covered the intersection observer. So we've added quite a few things in here in a very short amount of time.